Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Don't Look Up film discussion with the Carleton Film Society. And today we also have a guest, Alex. So welcome. Today we're going to talk about this film that is a Netflix film, and we're going to talk about it because it's nominated for the Oscars in multiple categories. So we'll go in depth into that. So let's just all introduce ourselves. So I'm Steph. I'm a fourth year communications and film studies student at Carleton University. And I love this film. We'll talk about that more though. Alex, do you want to introduce yourself?
Well, my name is Alex. I'm in my third year at Carleton. I'm in computer science at the moment, and I like talking about movies.
That's awesome.
All right, and I'm Beatrice. I'm in my third year of media production and design. And yes, can't wait to get down into talking about this movie.
Yeah, and I'm Ashley. I'm in my fourth year of criminology studies with a minor in film. We're going to be talking about Don't Look Up, which is about two low-level astronomers who must go on a giant media tour to warn mankind of an approaching comet that will destroy planet Earth. So we'll get into that, and beware because we'll be spoiling lots of major plot points in the movie. So if you haven't watched it and you don't care about spoilers, keep watching, or if you do care, stop watching now. Okay, so Stephanie, do you want to start with your first initial thoughts?
Okay, well, I love the movie. I think it's brilliant. I think it's intelligent. I think it really represents human beings, and in no way that any other film has ever done, I find. I think with the pandemic that we're living, it's really showcasing the divideness of people, and how some people are very pro whatever's happening and some people are very against. So I think that goes along with any issue that is happening, whether it's vaccinations, whether it's the pandemic, whether it's the environment. And I think that most likely this film was relating specifically to the environment more than anything else. Specifically casting Leonardo DiCaprio was very strategic for that. And I think, yeah, it's supposed to show many issues about our world and the United States and consumerism, capitalism, fame, all the things that don't really matter in this important, well, in this world, right? In this human world that we just lose sight of. And I just love the cast. I think that everyone was casted perfectly, and I love to see Jennifer Lawrence making a comeback. And yeah, it was to me a really brilliant film. So what about you, Beatrice? What did you think of it?
I had a lot of mixed feelings about this one. I think I first watching it, I was like, this is giving a lot of SNL kind of vibes, and then later on reading about Adam McKay, and I'm like, oh, okay, he was a writer for SNL for 2 seasons. So I'm like, okay, I see how it's the similar vibes to it. But it was very hard for me to get through, I think, because if compared to an SNL skit, which is maybe a shorter version of it, and now taking it to 2 hours, it was harder for me to get through. But I like that they were trying to, talk about a serious topic like this and try to translate that into a more comedic style, because I think if you're going to do this in a more dramatic tone, not many people will stick around to watch the entire film. And even the whole cast, that it's the people that they've put in here, Meryl Streep and Jonah Hill, and everybody's going to be talking about this, Ariana Grande. So yeah, it's a little bit of a mixed feelings about this, but I think we were talking about it was a very neutral kind of review for me too. But now it's also for the Oscars. That's also something I'm questioning on for me. I'm not sure if it's for me, if it was Oscar worthy enough to be in the Academy. But also hear your thoughts, Ashley.
Yeah, so very similar thoughts when I was watching it. I was like, this feels like a very long SNL skit. But I actually didn't know Adam McKay wrote for SNL, but that makes a lot of sense now in retrospect. I thought that the editing needed some work. I didn't really like how jarring it was, and I really think they should have stopped with all the stock footage. I really didn't like that, but that's his style. I've seen his other movies, but I just think I don't like his style of editing, directing, Also, one point in the movie, there's an editing choice where he like freeze frames on someone while they're still talking going on. And I thought there was a problem with my Wi-Fi. And I like restarted my computer. But anyways, that was just my problem with the editing. But I do actually really liked the performance by Jonah Hill. I thought he was really funny in this movie, and I really wish he would like come back to acting. You know, he's been more behind the camera recently, but he was really funny in this. But like, yeah, as Stephanie said, it's really relevant to what's going on right now, which I think we somewhat need in our films, especially with what's going on in downtown Ottawa with the Freedom Convoy. I was rewatching this movie yesterday, and I was like, wow, you know what? They really got it on the nose, huh? But another part of me is like, when I watch a movie, I kind of want like some sort of escapism, not kind of just being reminded of how terrible the world is right now. But, you know, there's plus and negative sides to the movie, I think. So what about you, Alex? How did you feel about the movie?
I think I might be the most negative out of all of us. I didn't love it. I mean, I'm still kind of mixed because there's things I do like about it, but I think my feelings on the movie just reflect my feelings on Adam McKay as a whole, where like, I think he's done some good stuff. I think he's done some really not good stuff. I think Vice was just awful, in my opinion. I did not like that one. And I think The Big Short is like really good satire, and I don't think this movie quite lives up to that, where in my opinion, the satire is the weakest aspect of this film, where like I can appreciate like the performances, and there's certain elements that I really like. But in terms of like its metaphors and allegories, I think it's very weak and not well thought out that much. I'll get more to specifics later, I guess, if this is just like opening impressions. Yeah.
Yeah, I find that so interesting that you find it like, I guess, less deep or whatever you can you say about it. But yeah, I don't know, because to me, I found this movie like so profound, and I found that there was so much meaning in the movie that I got out of it because of how it's so not just relevant, but it's such a good representation of human beings. And yeah, like I said, it's like I've never seen such a good representation like that is so like real. And when I think about cancel culture, and there's like these people that are like really on cancel culture, and then there's these people that are really on the other side of it. So it's just, it reflects so much humanity, and I loved it. And it really reminded me of Dr. Strangelove and the type of satire, the Kubrick film. Kind of old, so maybe people don't watch this movie, but whatever. It reminded me of that, and like it's satire on war, and I found like this film really represents that amazingly. I think the satire was really strong. I found it even better than The Big Short. I thought it was like one of the I think Adam McKay was so snubbed for not being nominated for this. I thought it was excellent, especially directing these like awesome actors, I think, and just such a good way, like Meryl Streep being like Trump, basically. Man, that was beautiful. And like for a woman to represent this monster, sorry, there's some Trump lovers out there, but I'm sorry, not sorry. But like to represent this monster from a woman's perspective was just so empowering and so well done. I loved it. And it's the meaning behind it is so interesting and so beautiful. So I thought that was really great. So Alex, like since you came on to like that point, like what were the things that you didn't feel like were profound enough, at least to you?
I think my main issue is that the meteor is like an external threat, where it was going to happen regardless. So if there was no life on Earth at all, like that meteor would still come to blow it up, you know? So I think the movie is clearly commenting on like climate change and stuff like that. And some people think it's more general than that. It's not specifically about climate change. But I think it doesn't really apply to anything that we can experience, I guess. Like in reality, the issues that we face, like climate change, they're issues that not only we create, but it's a problem that doesn't require a single like emergency solution. So like the way that they propose that they solve the meteor issue in the movie, it wouldn't, like that kind of solution wouldn't be a solution to anything that we face in real life, right? Like we can't get some countries together and then pull some resources and then send a rocket that solves this big problem, right? Like, because climate change isn't an external threat. It's a systemic threat and it requires a systemic solution. And I don't think the movie really explores that, in my opinion. Like it doesn't address the systemic issues that we face and how solving them requires big sweeping changes. And I think that might be because Adam McKay just isn't willing to accept those kinds of changes. So I feel like he really neglected a lot of the real impacts of climate change and how we can solve it. And he kind of reduced it to a very simple level. And I get that works for some people to a certain degree. To me, like satire needs to still have like truth to it. And I get the impression that at certain points, it's so oversimplified to the point where there's no longer a whole lot of truth to it anymore, if that makes sense.
That makes total sense, like now that you say that, but like to me, like I think it's oversimplified because it's to make the simple American person understand that there's an issue. And the systematic issues of it, I find that they're addressed in all the other spheres of the film rather than the meteor. It's just, I find the meteor is just a simple way to say like when there's a problem, we never address, like we just talk about it, but we never actually do anything about it, like such as climate change. But like, yeah, I understand like the systemic point that you're trying to say, but I think he's portraying that in the way that he represents the media and the way that he represents like the people against and the people for and the government and all those things. So I find like he shows that part of like systemic problem within it.
I'd agree with that. Like when I say I'm mixed on the movie, like I think elements like that do work. Like the way people respond to it, like to a degree, I still think it's a bit oversimplified, but I think that is the strongest element of it. It's just the threat itself doesn't correlate to any actual threat we face. So like from a satire point of view, it doesn't really hit for me that much, right? Like The Big Short, like that's a real issue. And so it's satire, but it's like pointing to an actual problem we face and like, you know, the people that cause those issues and the systemic issues that lead to those problems happening. So like that just feels more pointed and direct to me, whereas this feels like a little bit unclear. But like certain elements of the satire works, just the main conceit, I think, doesn't quite work for me.
Yeah. Well, funnily enough, the SpaceX mission is like had a problem, and then it's gonna arrive. It's gonna like crash in the moon, and the whole thing. Like this is a real thing, and this happens like right when this movie comes out, and it's like, well, no, nothing is really being done about it, and we don't really know much about the repercussions of this. So it's kind of funny that this is happening at the same time. So I mean, this could happen, and I'm sure that the reaction of humans would be the exact same as in this movie, unfortunately, at where we are at this point. But I want to hear about Beatrice and Ashley. Like, what were your thoughts? Sorry, like we've been going on, but what about you guys?
No, I was wrapped up in that. I was like, oh, these are both very good points. I definitely, I don't know. I don't know, because like, isn't it oversimplification or is it just enough, for everyone to like truly grasp the meaning? I do think on one hand that he's tackling too many subjects in one movie, because it's like, on one hand, it's like environmental problems, and then on the like climate change, and then on the other hand, it's like failures of capitalism, and he's trying to do all this cancel culture, everything wrapped up into one movie. And I think it just kind of becomes like a kind of messy at a certain point. I think he should have just focused on one thing and was stuck with that, made it an 1.5-hour movie, and it would have been, What about you, Beatrice?
Yeah, I think like talking about like how like society would even react to this. I've like heard or like seen TikToks even of scientists who like feel that they're like been seen about just the way like Leonardo DiCaprio and like Jennifer Lawrence, like their characters were just kind of like angered and like being on like live TV trying to like scream at people like, hey, this is a thing that's happening, and people just, you know, brush it off aside as a joke. So I think that's like something that's been portrayed, and like what you're talking about, like Ashley, with like the whole truck situation happening like downtown, it's just like become like such a joke at this point. So it's like it's crazy to see like even that would be just even like a kind of movie right now. But just to see like the way like, yeah, maybe this is how we would react as like a society that's gonna, when the world's gonna be ending like this. But I feel something that felt off with this was like just to have like a whole movie of all this like cast member, like it was a kind of like a joke of itself, because of I think like we're trying to put this idea of like the whole climate change and trying to like save the planet, but then you'll talk about you'll see like those clips of like Leonardo DiCaprio just like chilling on his yacht, and it's like it kind of feels like that video of like all the celebrities doing that Imagine, and they're singing that Imagine song in a way to help the whole pandemic situation at the start. And it was like this movie, I felt, I don't know if that was the goal of it, to try to get it as much exposure to everybody, like, hey, we should take this more seriously, but also in a joking way. So it was kind of like, oh, should this be like more of an exposure movie, or was like kind of trying to get people to take more action? So I think that's like kind of pulling me apart there. It's like, okay, at least it's getting more like in the Oscars now, which is like a award show that everybody talks about. So at least that we have a movie like this, we'll get more exposure in that way. So that's I think it's a bonus to it. But I was getting ripped apart of it, like, hey, this could be a good thing, but also should we do something about this?
I love how you like kind of mentioned the hypocrisy of Hollywood in some sense of like these actors are like some of the biggest actors in Hollywood at the moment, and for a long time, let's say. But I think like and you know, they all make a lot of money. They probably made a lot of money with this movie, and like then again, they're still contributing to this like capitalism and this consumerism and the media and being part of the fame and all of that. But in the same time, I think that these actors were very well selected because they have all been, in some sense, like victimized by rather whether it's cancel culture, such as Jennifer Lawrence, like had so much backlash that she had to stop for 5 years to film because she just couldn't be part of the fame anymore. She couldn't do it anymore. She couldn't do her own career, which is unfortunate because it takes so much just to get there. So I find that interesting, and even Meryl Streep. I mean, she's been in the business for a really long time. So I think like it's a good strategy to put this at these actors because people watch movies for actors. Like most of the time, people go see movies because Leonardo DiCaprio is in it or because Meryl Streep is in it. And so I think that was a very strategic way for people to go watch the movie. And yeah, but at the same time, Leonardo DiCaprio does so much for the environment that like him being on his yacht is not even worrying me at this point because he's been such a huge advocate for it. He worked on so many documentaries that he produced and worked on over the past like 5 to 10 years, and that have changed a lot about how things are being done in the environment. So I think this movie is just a simpler way for people to actually start caring in some way or form, whether it is about the environment or any issue that people feel like they're not concerned about, whether it is the pandemic or anything like that, and to actually like act upon it and actually try to do something, or at least be part of like the influence the change makers to do something, because we're all kind of like victims of whatever the government or the big companies or the whatever it is. We're kind of all victims of these people, but it's like, and it can feel like a little bit overwhelming, but all of us together can have some sort of voice and some sort of like influence and what can be changed in the future. So I think that's kind of what the film is trying to say, is trying to give a little bit more power to the people in some way or form. I think, at least that's how I saw it.
What about you, Alex or Ashley? Do you have any like, thoughts about that?
I do wonder like how many people actually like had their minds change in any way from this movie, because I feel like the fact that it's not very specific, I think would hinder that. Like if it was more like directly about like climate change or vaccines or whatever issue, I feel like more people might be convinced by it. But I don't know if the movie makes a persuasive argument per se that would convince someone of something, you know?
I kind of disagree with that. I think the fact that it's not about climate change is why it's being nominated, because we've seen so many movies, we've been so exposed by, yeah, there's climate change, that people are like, okay, whatever. But like a meteor, like it's true. Like a lot of people that you talk about, they're just like, yeah, we've heard about it, we've been hearing about it for 10 years, but they're not changing anything. So when it's about a meteor and they're seeing that people are doomed basically, and they're actually being doomed at the end of the film, like people are actually dying and that's the end of the movie, and it's like that there's no hope like usual American films usually have. I think that's why it's a little bit more eye-opening, and why people are also why some people or critics have enjoyed it. But I find it so interesting how this film, I think it's a 50 on Metacritic, and it's like people rather love it or hate it, and I think that's really, really funny. And it's what the movie is all about division of people, and the movie itself is creating division. So I think that's hilarious in all the senses of it. But what about the Oscars? So Beatrice, do you have the list of like all the things that it's nominated for? I think it's nominated for like 6 or 7 things. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, there's like 4 of them, which is
Yeah, I
like
thought it was
crazy.
4.
I didn't even think like Look Up would be such a big thing, because it was like, apart from all the other award shows, it wasn't really talked that much. I don't remember much of it, but yeah. So Best Picture, Best Music, Original Score, Writing, Original Screenplay, and Best Film Editing.
I did like the music, I will add that. But
Music was
Nicholas
really
Bertel never misses.
I forgot it got editing. I love that.
Yeah.
It's this year's Bohemian Rhapsody, but
It's not that bad.
I don't like his style, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Again, I thought my computer was lagging.
It didn't really like, it wasn't that noticeable to me, the editing. So for me, that's why I wouldn't make it win for that, because it was just like, it was like a normal editing film to me. But I don't know, like maybe there's a few things, but it's been a while since I watched it and I didn't really check for those things. But
It felt chaotic.
Wasn't there like a shot of just like,
That might be the
said-
point.
a shot of like the crew that was like in a frame in the movie, and people said that it's not a mistake, it's
Yeah.
actually intentional, that they meant to leave it in there. Like you could see the entire crew just in that one, and people like noticed it.
And they had masks on because of COVID too, which isn't like an aspect in the movie at all.
Leo should have been freaking nominated. I'm still pissed at that. He did such a good performance on this. Like, I think it was even better than The Revenant that he won his Oscar for. Like, I think it was so good. Such a
He
good
could have gotten in. He
What?
could have gotten in. Like Bardem could have missed. Like I think he would have been like number 6.
Yeah. Oh well, whatever. But it's like I think Denis Villeneuve got snubbed so hard for the directing category for Dune. I can't believe it. I can't
Big
believe
L for Canadians.
believe it. I just can't.
There
Like,
were like 10 nominations for any other category, but like director.
yeah, not director. And it's like, how the directing in this film is impeccable. How the hell did he not get nominated? I would have said that he would have won. Even I was like rooting for him to win, and then Jane Champion is nominated for The Power of the Dog, and I'm like, what?
Actually, yeah.
Not that
Oh,
it's
she's gonna win. That's a good choice.
Oh, 100%. No competition now.
Now there's no competition. Like who else is gonna win? Like Kenneth Branagh? No.
He's got like 6 of the nominations, so it's fine.
I'm kind of rooting for Steven Spielberg now, because it would be great to see him win again. That's the only like
I
thing.
haven't even seen West Side Story yet, so
Me neither. I didn't even see it, and I wanted to win because he's always gonna be the best. But
Even Spielberg's like some kind of like underdog now. It's like
if Jane
Yeah.
doesn't win, she's gonna quit directing again for 12 years.
oh my god, that's true. Well, he made the record that he's like that he for 6 decades he has at least been nominated once every decade. So that's like
Impressive.
that's a record that there's been like a director that has been nominated for that many decades. So that's pretty impressive. It's pretty
we need to have like part 2 of Dune. So when that comes out.
I'm gonna hope for part 2 of Dune that Jenny gets nominated. I'm so pissed. That was the one thing that I was like, I cannot accept. I cannot accept that he didn't get nominated. I demand a recount.
I want to talk to the Academy. Please interrogate
Excuse me, I'll talk to the Academy and I'll tell you all the reasons why you're wrong for this.
You're crazy like the Lady Gaga
I
fans.
feel like Jane Champion was like a strategic nomination, which is what makes me pissed because I don't like strategic nominations. Just like Chadwick Boseman to me was a strategic nomination last year, and like this one, I
And
feel
he
like
still didn't win though.
he didn't win at least, but at least it was won by the person that had the best performance. But anyways, we can go on about that for a long time. Let's go back to Don't Look Up.
Let's go back.
Yeah, we're
Let's go back to her. But anyways, I
We were
can tell
talking
the
about like
ever.
music. I didn't really like. What do you like about the music so much? Because I think I always like sound of music has been something that I haven't really been paying attention to. But what did you notice about it?
jazzy. It was
Jazzy.
fun. It was chaotic. I do feel like it fit the movie really well for, just how crazy of a film it was. Also, Nicholas Bertel is just amazing. For honestly, if he wins this, I won't be mad because for everything he's done, he should have got nominated for Moonlight, but that's a different story. But
I love
What to say
Ariana
about his
Grande's
music.
performance of that song. Like that was really good.
That song didn't get nominated.
I know
Did
it.
it not?
I can't
It's
believe it.
insane.
Insane. It was so like monumental to the
Yeah.
movie, and I'm surprised. And then like
what songs did get nominated?
They
The-
nominated something from like a Mila Kunis movie, like that no one's ever heard of.
Wait,
Like, why'd they do that?
The James Bond
there's
movie?
like the Encanto music that got
Encanto.
nominated, and I don't know about you guys, but the Encanto music is probably the worst Disney music I've heard in my life, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like I
I've
think
yet
it's
to see
the
it.
worst Disney album of the world like ever made.
I
And I
think I
love Disney
agree.
music. I love Disney music, and I'm so disappointed in this movie.
I love
know,
Disney
like-
music, but I don't love Lin-Manuel Miranda music. I think
Mm.
that's the problem.
Yeah.
Was it his music? I don't know anything about
It
this movie.
was.
I like don't know anything about Lin-Manuel Miranda, but I love the like the songs in that one. That was like on repeat for me and like on Spotify, but I don't pay attention that much to like his music. I think like most people are very much, done with him, and I guess it's kind of repetitive in a lot of the movies. Like even I don't know if it's like Tick Tick Boom and also
Mhm.
was In the Heights. Then he's
Yeah.
also there. He's everywhere now. So
Yeah, even in the Heights didn't get nominated for anything, and
No.
that was a surprise to me. I
I
was
thought the grandma was gonna get in for supporting actress.
yes,
It's kind of shocking.
it's true. I thought that in Tick Tick Boom there would be way more nominations than there was, and I'm really surprised. But I'm happy Andrew Garfield got the nomination for Best Actor for that. I felt like that was well deserved.
He's not gonna win again, but
No, he
at
won't.
least he's there.
But
wait, who else is in
I think
that?
it was a good nomination though.
Yeah, he should have got for The Social Network, but again, another story.
Yeah, that's another story. That's true.
When someone like brought it up to me, like I forgot, like he did actually win an Oscar, and I was like, oh, for The Social Network, right? And I was like, Hacksaw Ridge. I was like, I haven't even seen that one. I was like, gotta get to it.
Was robbed, but
Yeah. So I guess like we're coming to the end to our discussion. Did anybody have like any like final thoughts about this movie that you wanted to share that we haven't talked about yet?
I don't know. For me, I just loved it. Watch it, watch it again and again. I think it's brilliant, and watch it with different perspectives every time that you watch it, because it'll just like open your mind to different issues about the world. And I'm always keen on wanting to better myself as a person by listening to what others have to think. And I think this movie, every viewing can give you like that different outlook on something that's happening in the world at the moment. So I recommend watching it again and again.
like how contentious all of these movies are this year, like they're love or hate for like every single one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No one's like, yes, this is the Parasite of the year.
I think everyone loved Coda. I don't know anyone that didn't like Coda.
I heard someone say it felt like a Lifetime movie.
Yeah. It was good.
seen
I didn't
it.
love it.
It was me too. It was good, but I don't think it's Oscar worthy. Oscar Best Picture movie. It's because the French movie like that it's inspired by was so much better. So, anyways, whatever. That's a story for
I
another
didn't
time.
even know it was a remake.
Yeah,
I should have watched the first one.
it's better.
Is it still called Coda? I'm assuming.
No, it's La Famille Bellier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good
Alex,
one.
Do you have any like last thoughts about this? We're all good to go. Yeah, good. All right. So thank you everybody for like coming in to talk about Don't Look Up. We'll have all the recordings on our social media and on YouTube. And then I think in 2 weeks time, not sure what movie we'll be talking about, but we'll definitely be having more of our Oscar discussions later on, which I'll be excited about closer to the awards show. So, all right. Bye for now.
Bye.